even like in the rap world, like all of the rappers that you know that never been to jail and never got in any trouble with the law, but they talk as if their life is opposite of that. Like, those are federal informants, like, you know.
You think they're really out there?
Because if it ain't that, is it the snitch? Is it your informant friend? Did they come to you or did they get you? When did they get you?
Right.
Is that what you hiding? Is that what it is? Because this don't make no sense.
So that would be the question. What is it?
What is
Why?
it?
Why did you do this to me?
That would be the only question. Why?
Katt Williams has done it again. Dropped another wild interview that's got everyone talking. Just like his last one on Club Shay Shay, this new interview is shaking up the industry. Katt's always spilling the hottest tea, but this time, he said something that really caught people's attention. Some rappers in the game are actually working with the feds. As soon as he said it, everyone started thinking of one person, Jay-Z. For years, there have been rumors about Jay-Z's Day of Reckoning being just around the corner, but it never comes. And now, it seems like everyone close to him is getting picked up by the feds. But according to Katt, they're not going after Jay-Z because he's with the feds. Is Jay-Z really involved with the feds? And what did Katt have to say about some of the rappers we all listen to being rats? Let's dive into it. These Katt Williams interviews are starting to be a yearly thing, and honestly, we're here for it. Last year's talk with Club Shay Shay had people shook, and looking back, a lot of what he said ended up being true. From Diddy to Steve Harvey, to all the crazy secrets in the industry, Katt's been on point. And now, this new interview is causing even more buzz. Katt Williams recently sat down with Theo Von for another wild interview, covering everything from industry secrets to reincarnation and politics. But one thing that really caught people's attention was when Katt started talking about snitches in the industry. As soon as he mentioned it, everyone thought of one person, Jay-Z. Now, let's think about this for a second. Almost everyone around Jay-Z has been caught by the feds, yet he's still untouched. That's pretty strange, right? According to Katt, it's not that weird. Jay-Z is protected by the feds. To really get where Jay-Z's connection with the feds comes from, we have to go back to his roots, before Jay-Z or Roc Nation even existed. Back when he was just a kid trying to survive on the streets. Jay-Z was involved in a lot of shady stuff before his music career blew up. One of his closest friends back then was DeHaven. They grew up together in the Marcy Projects, and they were so close that Jay was the godfather to DeHaven's daughter. DeHaven was Jay-Z's partner in a lot of his dealings, helping him rise to where he is today. But everything changed after one big incident that exposed Jay-Z for who he really was. One night, Jay-Z and DeHaven went to pick up a fresh batch of merchandise. They were on their way back when out of nowhere, they were ambushed. What happened next would change everything for them. After the ambush, DeHaven tried to distract the attackers so Jay could get away. Luckily, they both made it out alive. But when DeHaven caught up with Jay, he realized something was seriously wrong. He could barely breathe. That's when he realized he'd been shot and was about to lose consciousness. Somehow, he managed to get a cab and head to the hospital. Before he left, he handed Jay the cash and the product they were carrying, telling him to grab his mom and meet him at the hospital. Jay did what he asked, and for a moment, everything seemed okay. But things took a turn when the two of them got caught up in a case together. DeHaven ended up serving 5 years in prison while Jay-Z walked free. You'd think Jay would have had his back since they were both involved in the business that landed DeHaven in jail. But according to DeHaven, Jay completely switched up on him, leaving him to deal with the legal mess by himself. To make it worse, Jay accused DeHaven of snitching in his song No Hook, rapping, "F DeHaven for caving, that's why we don't speak." DeHaven has denied snitching, but Jay's words stuck and the betrayal hurt. While Jay was out building his empire, DeHaven was left behind, struggling to bounce back. For years, Jay controlled the story, until DeHaven did an explosive interview with Real Life Productions. Finally, he got the chance to share his side of the story and reveal the truth about what really happened. Jay-Z seems to always come out unscathed from any mess he's in, and a big reason for that is his connection to Desiree Perez. She's a former federal informant with a pretty sketchy past, and yet she's also the president of Roc Nation and Jay's right-hand woman. It's pretty wild when you think about it. Jay-Z was out here calling DeHaven a snitch, but then went and made a literal federal informant his second-in-command. The double standards are crazy. But Desiree isn't just some businesswoman who got caught up in a small mistake. Her past is much darker. She grew up in the Bronx with Cuban immigrant parents and got her start in the music world in the late 90s as a part-time assistant manager at a nightclub in New York. That's where she started meeting local artists, including Jay-Z. By 2009, Desiree officially joined Roc Nation as the chief operating officer, working closely with Jay-Z and Beyoncé on different projects. Then, in 2019, Jay-Z announced at the Billboard Women in Music Awards that Desiree had been appointed as the CEO of Roc Nation. As CEO of Roc Nation, Desiree Perez has a hand in some of the company's biggest projects. She even executive produced 4 Super Bowl halftime shows in a row from 2021 to 2024. On the surface, it looks like Desiree and Jay-Z have a great working relationship based on trust and respect. But their connection goes a lot deeper than that. Some people even compare Desiree to Griselda Blanco, a notorious Colombian drug lord known for her ruthless ways. Griselda was responsible for at least 200 murders and showed no mercy to her enemies. She ruled Miami's drug trade from the 70s into the early 2000s. In 1975, she was arrested and sentenced to 20 years in prison. She served 19 years before being released because of health issues. After her release, she was deported back to Colombia, where she was killed in September 2012 by assassins on motorbikes. To this day, no one knows who was behind her death. You might be wondering what Griselda Blanco's death has to do with Desiree Perez and Jay-Z. Well, it's actually pretty interesting. First off, there's a photo of a young Jay-Z with Griselda Blanco, and if you look at their body language, it's clear they were pretty close. So how did they meet? According to court records from the New York Daily News, back in 1994, Desiree Perez was arrested for possessing 35 kilos of cocaine and for trying to distribute it. Authorities believed she was involved in a big drug operation running from New York to Florida and Puerto Rico. But Desiree wasn't doing this alone. Her husband, Juan O.G. Perez, was right there with her. And it turns out O.G. Juan knew Griselda Blanco personally. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Jay-Z and O.G. Juan have been close friends since the mid-90s. They co-founded the 40/40 Club together, and years later, Jay-Z made O.G. Juan the president of Roc Nation. So, there's a lot of history between these people, and it shows just how deep their connections run in the music and business worlds. Jay-Z and O.G. Juan's bond goes way back, even before they co-founded the 40/40 Club. Insiders say their connection started when Jay-Z was still in the streets, and they both allegedly dealt in the same kind of merchandise, if you know what I mean. But let's focus back on Desiree and her federal case. Getting caught with all those kilos was no small thing. It was serious, involving major cartels and kingpins. But despite the gravity of the situation, Desiree only got 5 years of probation. So, how did she get such a light sentence? Well, she agreed to cooperate with the U.S. Attorney's Office and become an informant. Desiree wasn't about to risk going back to prison, so she took her job seriously. She even wore wires to collect information on her former partners. According to a New York Daily News article, a court hearing from June 11, 1996, showed that the feds were happy with her work as an informant. She did whatever it took to stay out of trouble, and it looks like it worked in her favor. At the court hearing, the assistant U.S. attorney, Lawrence Barfeld, told the judge that Desiree Perez, the star mole, had worked closely with the agents. The article described her as a nightclub manager in Manhattan with a long criminal past and strong ties to Jay-Z. It even called her a DA informant and fugitive at one point. What's strange is that when you try to search for this article now, it's nearly impossible to find or even reference online. When the news broke that Jay-Z made Desiree the president of Roc Nation, his former friend and business partner, Dame Dash, spoke out. He went on Sway in the morning and made it clear that Jay had gone too far by hiring a federal informant. Dame pointed out that many people in Jay's circle, including Kareem, Biggs, Burke, one of Rockefeller's co-founders, had faced issues with the feds in the past. So, it didn't make sense to him that Jay would now bring someone with such a shady past into the mix. But the truth is, Jay-Z wasn't the only one making questionable moves. Remember when Meek Mill called out Tekashi 6ix9ine for snitching in May 2020? He tweeted, "I hope that rat goes live to apologize to the people he told on or the victims. Y'all forgot that fast that a rat took out Nipsey. He wasn't supposed to be on the streets." Meek also called Tekashi a coward for leaving his baby mama and child in danger. But fans quickly reminded Meek that he wasn't exactly in a position to throw stones. They brought up pictures from 2019 showing Desiree Perez walking Meek into court. He managed to get a deal that helped him avoid jail time, all thanks to Desiree's connections. Fans pointed out the irony. Meek was out here calling out snitches, yet he was working with someone who had a known history of being an informant. It was a real, how can you complain about snitches when you're cool with one? Moment.
Desiree Perez became a cooperating witness for the DEA in the 1990s after her 1994 arrest for possession of 35 kilos of cocaine. Perez struck a deal with the feds, agreeing to wear a hidden wire to record her meetings with major cocaine traffic cartel. Her undercover informant work won her courtroom praise for federal prosecutors, as did mine, after she helped them break up major dealers in Puerto Rico and Colombia. You see Meek Mill right here with Desiree Perez, right? She's part of his bail with Jay-Z. This part of Rock Nation, right? She's a executive at Rock Nation. But then you go saying, "Yo, listen, we don't fuck with rats." Your executive is a rat. So you pick and choose? Because if you don't want to be around rats completely, you're with a rat right there. She cooperated for the DEA. Meek Mill, you can't pick and choose who you want to call rats. You can't say this is fake. This is on public information. This was on the New York Times. What are you gonna say? No, I didn't know. You know.
A few months after Tekashi 6ix9ine called out Meek Mill for working with Desiree, things took another turn. It came out that Desiree was one of the 143 people who got pardons or had their sentences reduced under Trump's first term. But this only made the situation worse. Once people learned about Desiree's past as a federal informant, it caused even more drama. One person who didn't hold back was Tory Lanez's father. After Tory was sentenced to 10 years in prison for shooting Megan Thee Stallion, he went off outside the courtroom. He called Desiree a snitch and even suggested that Rock Nation had something to do with getting Tory sent to jail. The whole thing just made the relationship between Jay-Z, Rock Nation, and Desiree even more complicated.
You want to know exactly how I'm feeling? I just stood here in this Los Angeles County and witnessed the worst miscarriage of justice that this world has ever seen. You want to know how I feel? I'll tell you exactly how I feel. I got some names that I want to call. Alex Spiro, Desiree Perez, and the whole wicked system of Rock Nation, including you, Jay-Z. Yes. You who say you rose from the gutter, but you have traded and bartered the souls of young men, and you're still doing it. But I'm telling you, this court system is not for justice. It's about wins and losses, and they do dirty to do whatever they can. Jay-Z, let me speak to you.
He has kids.
Rock Nation! Because my son refused to sign a Rock Nation deal with you.
Yes.
And Desiree Perez, you wicked witch, you snitch.
Yes.
You turned on your co-conspirators, all the whole mafia one of you that was peddling drugs in this country, and you rolled on them before so the Fed could give you a deal. All of you, trust me, I have intercessors, prayer warriors around the world, and they will not stop until you cut off.
Yes.
No, we don't you with guns.
That's right.
But we know exactly how to bring you down in the spirit.
That's right.
Remember Jay-Z's old friend DeHaven? Well, he didn't hold back either when it came to Desiree. He straight up called her a snitch and blasted Jay for even being involved with her. DeHaven wasn't shy about calling out Jay for his connection to someone with such a questionable past, especially after everything that had gone down between them. It was clear DeHaven didn't think Jay should be associating with someone like Desiree.
And keep in mind, the chick had a plan too. Like, yo, we could do things. And I can guarantee you the conversation with Emery, even when Emery came home and seen, he came home and seen the same thing. Yo, you dealing with her?
Who's the chick?
Desiree.
Oh. Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
He came home and had to see it too. Say, yo, what is this? And I can tell you how that conversation probably went. Like, look, man, you don't need to worry about this. You don't need to worry about nothing else ever again. You over here with us now. But what if, yo, she a snitch? Man, that snitch, bro. Them people that's talking about that snitch, we ain't gonna be breathing in the same ear. Them, that's what you worried about, them that don't have nothing sitting home. Where you gonna be if you don't get on this side? The hell, get on this side? I can see that conversation happening. And they move all his integrity and morals to the side to take care of his family after he just did 12 years. I can see that. But I don't see, and what I couldn't put past me, is Emery coming to me. Just on some real shit. This is what hurt when I say, when you expect niggas that treat you the way you treat them, and it don't work that way.
That's the worst thing you can ever do.
You know, because I could have expected a nigga to come to me and say, look, man, I don't know what Jay tripping off of. He's still tripping off of that, this, that, and the third. I'm not really with that, but you can't tell him I'm with you. So this is what I'm going to do. Boom, 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 we work from there. Real. But to act like, yo, I'm going to join forces and do the same thing and play this like this, come on, man. That's humiliating. And now I got you as a yes man. Like, yo, bro, you couldn't even speak up for me. You know what I'm saying? So all of that shit's twisted. And that's how all those conversations, that's how they think of us. They like, really, those guys talking about snitching this and that, what you worried about them for? They don't be in our parties. You know what I'm saying? What you worried about that for?
All of this has led to some serious rumors that Jay-Z is untouchable because the feds are protecting him. It seems like no matter what happens to everyone around him, he never gets into trouble. In a recent interview, Katt Williams gave his take on it. He said that a lot of your favorite rappers might actually be informants, ready to snitch if it helps them out. Katt pointed out that there are rappers who act like they're living this tough life, but have never been in trouble with the law. To him, those are the ones working with the feds. Almost like pawns in a game of chess, you need them to make things happen. So, what do you think? Is Jay-Z really being protected by the feds, or is it all just one big rumor? Drop your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned for the next video.